Hi there, my name is Kronos. Thank you very much for checking out the fourth episode of my React series to The Last of Us. This is based on episode 4, Please Hold to My Hand. In last week's episode, Joel and Ellie got Bill's truck at last, which means they're on their way to meeting some important characters, and I think we're going to be hitting some big emotion points soon, and I think viewers who are not familiar with the game series are going to be exposed to the risks that the writers are willing to take here, and if it's not apparent how willing they are to expose characters to loss and tragedy, then I think people are in for an awakening with where the story is going. This should be a very good episode based on what I believe is going to be the key story beats here. With that being said, let's go ahead and jump in. So this is the gun that she found last week. She doesn't... or she's hiding it from Joel at the moment. He doesn't know that she has it. By this point in the game, Ellie has already killed before. As in, she's killed another person. It'll be interesting to see where they're holding that back for, or where they have moved it to.
Nice. How does that work?
It's a siphon. When liquid travels against gravity because pressure.
You don't know.
I know it works. No wandering.
It doesn't matter how much you push the envelope.
The joke
It'll
book?
still be stationary.
Oh no, poor Joel.
Intended. Volume 2 by Will Livingston. Volume 2. Look, you get it? 2, like T-O-O. What did the mermaid wear to her math class? An algebra. Like, algebra.
I love that they've recreated this perfectly.
But just know, you can't escape Will Livingston. He'll be back.
Fantastic.
What do you do to stop him?
She tortures him with that joke book in the game as well.
Okay, we need to lighten the mood. Ready? It doesn't matter how much you push the envelope, it'll still be
Not the
stationary.
joke book, please.
What is that?
It's a joke book. No pun intended. Volume 2 by Will Livingston.
Let's keep going.
Bakers trade bread recipes on a need-to-know basis. Need.
I get it.
Joel's reaction there was just perfect. Oh boy, every player right now is like, ooh, this song.
Light on the reading, but it has some interesting pictures.
Oh, no. Put that back. That's not for kids.
How do
Ellie,
you even walk around with that thing?
please.
Gonna chuck it out the window. Yes. That is a perfect one-to-one scene reproduction.
Oh. I'm sure your friend will be missing this tonight. Light on the reading, but it's got some interesting photos.
Now, Ellie, that ain't for kids.
Whoa! How the hell would he even walk around with that thing?
Get rid of that.
Well, hold your horses. I want to see what all the fuss is about. Bye-bye, dude.
All I'm gonna say is, if we hit city limits very quickly, things are gonna be interesting. The dress up of the whole world here is the rundown appearance of the world here is incredible. Kinda looked a little bit cheap in last week's like gas station scene, but
Right.
this week the world looks so much better. This is where they're gonna rest up. Seems like it.
So can we start a fire? I'm freezing.
Now, why am I going to tell you no?
People?
Scavengers. Raiders, yeah.
So what are they gonna do, rob us?
Well, they'll have way more in mind than that.
They're setting the scenes for the first human-to-human confrontations here. So far, with the exception of Fedra, they haven't run into anybody who was confrontational, but it looks like we're going to be changing that very soon. Because keep in mind, the only hostilities they've been dealing with up until now is just being infected.
Why did the Scarecrow get an award?
Because he was outstanding in his field.
Did you read this?
No. I'll go to sleep.
Disarmed.
There's no way anyone knows we're here, right? No one's gonna find us.
No one's gonna find us.
It's hard to know what Joel's thinking there. It looks like his face says, I've just lied to her. Yeah, he has just admitted that he lied to her there. He looked around at the scene and looked at his rifle there, so he's obviously deeply concerned that they're going to get attacked. And he's planning to drive all day and all night tomorrow with no sleep.
Is that seriously what those Starbucks in the QZ used to sell?
Well, theirs was a lot fresher than what Bill saved up, but yeah, this is what they sold.
It smells like burnt shit.
It tastes like it as well.
Cheyenne, Laramie, Casper. What's his name?
Whose name?
Your brother.
Thomas.
Younger or older?
Younger.
Why isn't he with you?
Long story. So he enlists in the army right out of high school. Cut to 12 years later, outbreak happens. He convinces me to join a group making their way up to Boston, which I did. Mostly to keep an eye on him, keep him alive. That's where we met Tess. And that whole crew, well, for what it was, it worked. And then Tommy meets Marlene. She talks him into joining the Fireflies. Same mistake he made when he was 18. He wants to save the world. Delusional. Of course, last I heard, he quit the Fireflies too. So now he's on his own out there, and I gotta go get him.
I'd like to know the timeline there.
One for family. That's about it.
I'm not family.
No. Your cargo. But I made a promise to Tess. And she was like family.
This is very iconic photography here as well.
I will.
How do you know?
I'm persistent. You got up pretty early if you want to grab more sleep.
I'm not even tired.
Why don't you try to get some sleep? All right.
I'm not even tired.
Uh-oh. Okay. Every fan knows what's coming up here. The question is, are they going to do it? There's one key thing that's missing here at the moment. I'm very curious to see where this is going, because the Hank Williams song that you heard at the start there is important to what I believe is going to happen here, but they've switched up that timeline already. So you can see that the pressure of completing his mission is on his mind.
Kansas City.
He also knows... I won't say anything else, actually. He's conscious of the fact that they're getting detoured by this blockage. That has him concerned, I think. Had they have been able to go through that tunnel, their journey would have been very simple there, but they've obviously been steered into the city.
Hey! Please help!
They're gonna do it.
Put your seatbelt on.
So what has happened is identical. What they smashed into is not.
Look at me! They're not gonna hit you. You stay down, you stay low, you stay quiet.
I think some fellows are about to get the Joel Miller experience.
Go!
And I am here for it. Well, at least see if. Good luck, fellows. I believe that was our last guest checking out there. Yep. Thought so. Joel wouldn't have let him get close to that hole. Oh. I think this is going to be first kill. This is where they moved it to. Yeah, she's going to go for first kill here. Either you do it, Ellie, or he's going to.
We can trade with you guys. I'm Brian. What's your name?
Good night, Brian.
You can have it. It's a good knife.
Oh, Brian got his knife back at least. So if this is like the game was, there's gonna be more raiders coming. Oh, this is very much like the game was. I like the verbal call out there. Raiders shouting that Brian has been killed. It's a nice touch because raiders do that in the game as well. Whenever they find one of their own has been killed, they'll call out that they've found the body of whatever and he's been killed.
Kathleen.
The Bergquists. No?
And I'm sorry.
Not clear who these characters are.
This has gone too far.
Like a survivor that's gone crazy, maybe? It's clear they know each other, but it's not clear who these two characters are. She's not as tough as she is claiming to be. She's a raider.
Who did this?
We think it was outsiders. We found a truck loaded. It's not a federal vehicle, but they were heavily
Hello?
supplied.
The bearded gentleman there is actually
live?
Tommy from the game. That's his voice actor. Jeffrey Pierce, I think. This is doing a number on me here. So Jeffrey Pierce is in the game now, or in the show now as a villain.
Open it.
He's got a very distinctive voice. You knew immediately that was Tommy. That is not Joel's brother now, don't get confused. And farewell, Doctor.
This is Henry's work.
Okay, so this seems to be a group of raiders intent on finding Henry. Henry is a key character from the first game. Can't say more for now until I see where this is going, because this is very different.
Are you all right?
Yeah.
I have to imagine Joel here is feeling like disappointed in himself that he almost got killed.
Hear that guy coming.
Yeah, that's what he is. That's what's wrong with him.
You shouldn't have had to, you know.
So Joel feels responsible for her having to kill. From his own failures, basically.
You killed. And I'm sorry.
Powerful scene there.
It wasn't my first time.
That is huge. We've always suspected it, but that's huge. If it's what they're referring to.
You put it in your pack. You shoot your damn ass off.
So this is another scene that they've moved from a earlier part of the storyline. In their game adventure, they would have already experienced this to reach the point that they're at now.
How'd I do?
How about something a little more your size? It's for emergencies only.
Okay.
I want to know more about this woman, Kathleen.
No sign of them. You?
She's new. Both of these characters are actually. Jeffrey Pierce's character didn't exist either. Somebody's been living up here. Oh boy. A child's drawings? Are we about to introduce another character, perhaps? Question mark? Very strange, there's a picture of two characters flying together as superheroes.
They're out of food. Henry won't let Sam starve.
There we go. Henry and Sam. Yes. What the hell is that? I wonder, is this going to be the first super infected? There's no infected that burst out of the ground, but there are big infected. They're basically referred to as super infected. They're like special types of infected that cause a little bit more trouble to the player than what normal ones do. I'm wondering if that's what they're working up to here. I'm gonna stake a guess that this is where Henry and Sam are laid up.
Hey, you know that guy who said he was hurt? How did you know it was an ambush?
I've been on both sides.
He told Ellie the very same thing in a pretty similar conversation, that he used to run the same trick. She questioned how he knew that that was an ambush, but in the game, because they were ambushed in pretty much the exact same way.
Easy. Holy shit. Are we gonna help him?
Put your seatbelt on, Ellie.
Well, what about the guy?
He ain't even hurt.
They're like,
How did you know
Know what?
about the ambush?
I've been on both sides.
Oh. So, you kill a lot of innocent people? I'll take that as a yes.
Take it however you want.
Come on,
Give me a minute.
get up, you lazy ass.
Lazy ass. 56 years old, you little shit.
this relationship, yes. I love it.
Joe?
You surely know what this is for, Ellie. Come on now.
Joe. Joe!
What?
What are you doing?
I don't want someone sneaking up on us while we're sleeping.
It is somewhat careless that he would make an audio trap like that and then sleep in front of it. Like, if someone comes in with a gun, before stepping on the trap, they'll just shoot both of them. I guess he's hoping for most intruders to have melee weapons.
When we were talking about hurting people, what did you mean it wasn't your first time?
There's
I don't want to talk about
There's
it.
no way she'll tell him yet. She will tell him eventually, but not yet.
Jesus, I'm losing it.
You're losing it big time.
So, this is very, very important, because this is Joel basically coming around to her now. He's dropping his guard. He's letting her in. She isn't ready to do the same yet, but this is him letting her in.
Joel!
Oh shit. Oh. What a tremendous episode. That was extremely enjoyable. A lot to jump into here. Firstly, a few more timeline manipulations here. which we need to quickly cover. The first kill that you saw Ellie do in that episode, in the laundrette, that's actually the first kill that she does to save Joel in the hotel. So what happens in the hotel is Joel is separated from Ellie for quite a time.
You find me something to climb on. Okay, here we go. There we go. I'm alright!
He has to deal with a situation in the basement. It's a flooded basement, and he has to switch on the power there and get it back out of that area, back to where Ellie is. When you reach the upper floors of the hotel, Ellie is nowhere to be found, and Joel tries to climb on a ladder, and he gets jumped by a raider in the hotel, and he's so taken aback and ambushed by it that the raider has the jump on him. Part of that floor is flooded a little bit, and the raider starts drowning Joel in the water. Kind of gives the player the sense of control and survival at first, that you're going to be able to make it and that you can actually fight your way to survival, but you gradually lose grip on the situation, and you get a very true feeling that you're going to die. And while you're being choked out underneath the water, Ellie actually turns up. She shoots the raider. She one-shots him, actually. She shoots him once, and that's it. He's dead.
I shot the hell out of that guy, huh?
Yeah, you sure did.
I feel sick.
And you just hang back like I told you to.
Well, you're glad I didn't, right?
I'm glad I didn't get my head blown off by a goddamn kid.
You know what? No. How about, hey, Ellie, I know it wasn't easy, but it was either him or me. Thanks for saving my ass. You got anything like that for me, Joel?
We gotta get going.
Lead the way.
So when they did the kill here, they did the first kill in the laundrette, where Joel was blindsided by Brian, the raider that introduced himself to try and save his own life. And Ellie didn't kill him. She gravely wounded him. He probably would have died from his wounds, but she gravely wounded him, and Joel ordered Ellie back into the wall again, and then Joel killed Brian using his own knife. This was an important scene because it both showed how willing Joel is to go to save Ellie, so he can be an extremely brutal killer when he wants to. He's a very, very cold person. He can just cut off emotion straight away if he needs to, and he will have no problem killing to ensure her survival. So I think they were keen to sell that. It was done in a very visceral, clear way, which was surprising actually, because we didn't actually see Brian die, but it was extremely evident as to what happened there. The other thing that was somewhat strange here for me to deal with, to watch it, it wasn't strange as in bad decision making, it was just strange as in keeping it in my head as to what was going on. This is another warped timeline where the laundrette that they use there is actually an almost carbon copy of the one that Bill, Ellie, and Joel escape out through in a scene where they're on the run from infected, and you have to fend off one or two clickers in that laundrette, I think, and then you get out onto the main street where the three survivors take refuge. Gotta go! I'm in. Thank you for joining in, Bill. Much appreciated. And this we can deal with. It was weird for me to see that scene, which takes place in the game before this one, used in that laundrette, and then the first kill taken from further back in the timeline and brought forward. It's really weird. So what I think is happening here is, I think, and this is me just spitballing as to why this is happening, because this seems to keep coming up throughout the show, where things are in like the wrong order or switched around and stuff. I think there's two different reasons this would be happening. One is for creative purposes. They'll have made a decision based on the scene and what they want to do with it and how suitable the scene is for it. And second, I would say probably when they want to go filming stuff, they likely have like scouts who go out and find kinds of locations that they need. So for example, they will detail that they need, I'm just going to arbitrarily throw these numbers out, they're not based on anything, I'm just spitballing as to what I think happens here. I would say they probably need 7 abandoned buildings, rundown buildings that can be easily procured for filming without needing licenses or getting public evacuated from them or any sort of special requirements. They want to be able to just take a production crew in there, do their stuff and move out again without having any trouble, because obviously the more trouble you have, the more costs you have, and the more production costs increase and stuff. And then there's people who are complaining at the top about how much money is being spent on it, and it's all a huge amount of trouble that can be avoided by simply finding better scenes, the situations for what you need. So I think your scouts will find these scenes for you. They'll have said they need a laundrette, they need a hotel, they need a rundown church or whatever. I think actually we might actually see a church at some point. They'll have obtained this laundrette, and I think both things work together then. It's what they want to do with the scene and what they have access to in the area probably interact with each other. They most likely just picked the laundrette and said, hey, let's do this scene here where Joel gets overpowered and Ellie has to save him. And then the hotel scene was discarded then or used for another purpose, and that's why you have these timelines constantly swapping and changing position. So I don't think they really do it to alienate and confuse here. I think it's just it's a byproduct of how TV production is made. The actual kill scene I have mixed reservations on. So Joel in the game is portrayed as a father and a family man, but someone who has all of that suppressed and buried within his character, so he can care for somebody if he needs to, but he's very reluctant to and very slow to do it, because he has buried and suppressed all of this to ensure that he's cold and capable of being able to do what he needs to do to survive. He's a very dangerous man, and I felt that he was very easily overpowered there. I'm not sure what they wanted to portray it there as. Like, was the objective here simply just to make a set piece that has Ellie kill so that they can do the dramatic fallout from it? Or did they actually want to portray Joel as vulnerable there? Because I feel like they leaned too much towards the second there, and they showed Joel as slightly weak, like a little too weak than what I would expect Joel to be portrayed as. This is not about seeing the fall of the alpha man or anything. It's just, as I said, it's an expectation from me that Joel is portrayed as a very dangerous person, because part of the journey with Ellie is that Ellie gradually defrosts him and brings him back around to the kind and caring man that he used to be. The parent, the family man, the husband. She brings all of that back to life within him. You can even see it within that episode, like the exchange that they had whenever they were sleeping at night there and telling jokes to each other. She is beginning to crack the ice there around him. I guess you could make the argument that it is her that is making him weak, but it's all happening very, very fast, and I have in my mind a lot of events to come which don't work if you have this character already showing this kind of weakness, because the things that Joel will have to do are somewhat dark. And I don't know that the Joel that they're portraying here is the Joel that is going to be able to do those things. So if they end up making this character conflict when we later reach that point, it's going to be strange, because Joel is going to be flipping back to a situation where Brian, the random merc, doesn't jump him at a doorway, and he doesn't get overpowered like that. Do you know what I mean? It's hard to put into words. It's basically, I'm trying to think of a good analogy that I could explain it. What happened there is like Leon the Professional. Leon got choked out with a crowbar, and Matilda saved him, and then the finale of the film happened where he goes on to kill like 40 SWAT members who are trying to get to him and Matilda. It's like one guy with a crowbar is capable of doing that, but then Leon goes on to kill like 40 SWAT guys with automatic rifles. I hope I'm explaining myself. We had the introduction of a character called Kathleen, who is not from the games, and she seems to be like a powerful figurehead in a raider band or army, whatever way you want to call them. She seems to be somebody that they look up to and take orders from, and she's very keen to find Henry, who you actually saw at the end of the episode being introduced there. It seems that Henry has been doing things towards her group. He must be killing raiders or doing other things in the city that she doesn't approve of, so she wants him found. This was nice to see, because in the game, Henry and his brother Sam they're basically they're like mirrors of Joel and Ellie in terms of just two people trying to survive. The difference being Joel and Ellie are essentially two friends who gradually develop a huge relationship with each other and almost become parent and child. Henry and Sam are two brothers who are trying to survive after everything that's happened. The game does a great job of mirroring the situation between them and showing how alike the two scenarios are, because you have these two groups coming together and finding out that they're not that different from each other. It looks like we're going to be exploring that in the next episode coming up. I like that we did the whole background stuff of Henry and Sam's motives before we actually met them, because now we know a lot of their backstory and don't need to waste time on that next week. I think it was a great decision to split this across 2 episodes as well, having the ambush happen and going to the city where we eventually meet Henry and Sam, learning about them through characters that have interacted with them, or interacted with their story at least, let's say, because I get the impression that Kathleen has never actually caught up with Henry yet. She knows who he is, but she's never actually come face to face with him yet. And I like the idea that we learned about them before meeting them, because now we can explore with them next week a lot more detail. So that was quite nice. The ambush, I feel like I need to touch on a bit. The ambush was interesting because it was like the alleyways where the truck drives up, Joel stops and sees the guy in the middle of the street, and then they start driving away to try and get away from the ambush. Those alleyways are the alleyways you escape through, get away from the armored truck you saw driving around the city streets. So you have to do like a cat and mouse scenario through those streets to get away from that truck. And again, it was like they used that scene for the initial ambush. They also crashed into a laundrette instead of a grocery store. It's an abandoned grocery store that the truck crashes into during that Hank Williams song that was playing at the start of the episode. And the other thing as well, I couldn't help noticing this too, the place where Joel had taken down the newspaper and was looking out through the window and gives Ellie the gun for the first time. That looks like the mechanics, which takes place after the ambush. It's so weird. It's like it's causing corruption in my mind of what is real and what is not. Because like I've commented before, if you've been watching my reactions up until now, you've got these 2 timelines maintained. This is the game one, this is the show, but we're now doing this situation where they're doing this all the time, and I have to try and maintain those 2 scenarios in my mind, even though they're getting hugely mixed up all the time. Like they're taking pieces from each other and putting them in different order. So I feel like when I get through this whole TV show, I'm not going to know the correct order of game events anymore. Might have to end up doing a playthrough just to remind myself and refresh. Then we had the scene leading up to the end of the episode where Joel put the glass out all over the floor. Ellie was asking, like, what was that for and stuff. So although I kind of mocked it a little bit because he made that nice audio distraction or like audio trap, so whenever you walk on the glass it crunches and Joel knows immediately that somebody's in the building and he can wake up and stop them. Although I mocked it because they ended up sleeping in front of it, so somebody just comes in, just shoots both of them. Where's your audio trap now? There was a key part there in Ellie asking questions about it, because this is ultimately Joel teaching Ellie survival things that she needs to know to stay alive. She's actually learning a lot of his skills at the moment, a lot of knowledge that he has gleaned over years on how to build traps, kill people, make decisions to stay alive. She's gaining all of this, and it's knowledge that she will then be able to apply in the future. So it's nice to see that she's already starting to learn that stuff. Like you saw him teaching her how to use the gun as well. And this again echoes a lot of what he does in the game too. He teaches Ellie a lot of her early skills in what she needs to do, and the person that she goes on to become then is everything that he teaches her. And then of course we had the confrontation with Henry and Sam to lead out into the closing titles. One point about the closing titles as well, if you paid attention, it was Lottie Kestner performing True Faith, and this was actually very interesting because that was a song that was used in promotional trailers for Last of Us 2, and there was a bit of a drama around her getting credit for the song and the game using it for trailers. So it was nice to see Lottie Kestner was featured there, and the belief online is that that was the reason why, is that it was to apologize for the situation and give Lottie Kestner the credit that she was due for her song True Faith. So where this all goes now, next episode is obviously already defined for us. It's going to be about Henry and Sam and learning a lot about their relationship, that they're brothers, and how they come to be in this situation. We're likely going to be spending some time learning about Kathleen as well, learning why she's pursuing Henry and what exactly he did. I would say Joel and Ellie are going to end up helping Henry and Sam to get out of the situation they're in from being pursued by Kathleen. We'll have to see where that goes. The thing that makes this a little bit more difficult to predict for me now is we have these characters of Kathleen and also Jeffrey Pierce's character as well. I keep referring to Jeffrey Pierce's character because I didn't catch his character's name during that, but we have those two characters now as being important roles. So it's going to be interesting to see where they take the Raider story from here, how much of an influence they have on Henry and Sam's story. In terms of storytelling, the events that next week would be covering, if they were an accurate representation of what happened in the game, all took place over one night. So I'm conscious of the fact that it is actually nighttime when they've been ambushed here by Henry and Sam, and it looks like we're going to actually see those events play out exactly as they were, but it's just hard to say where they're going to go based on the fact that we have Kathleen and her mercenary. The unknown factor that we have is that we have these two raiders who have been personalized now and given like key character roles. I can't predict what influence they're going to have on the story because they weren't part of the game. There's also the possibility that they're going to use a set piece too. You saw the armored truck driving about before. There was a key moment where two vehicles passed, one was armored and one was not. That armored truck is quite a key thing in the game, so it'll be interesting to see if they tackle that or not, because that actually has an influential part on Henry and Sam's story. So we'll have to wait and see on where that goes. That's it. That was episode 4, Please Hold to My Hand. And I thought that was a spectacular episode, extremely enjoyable. The show continues to use the high quality standards that I've come to expect from it from the first moment that we got to see it, and I'm excited now as to where things are going. There's a lot I want to see next week. It'll be good to see what actually takes place from the game's events and what gets discarded or moved around, and I don't want to say anything more from that because there are key things coming up which are huge, and I don't want to spoil them for anybody who has never actually experienced the games. I hope you continue to enjoy the show and you enjoy these reacts, and I look forward to jumping in with you next week as we explore episode 5. Thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed the video, please drop me a like and a subscription. Let me know what you liked about the episode, what you're looking forward to, what you liked about these reacts, and I look forward to seeing you next week.
Good night, kiddo.